Doesn't matter, does it? All right. All right. Excellent connection. That's what it's saying. All right, let's start this shit up. Boom. All right. Alrighty then. All right, here we go. Here we go. I don't know if y'all can see that. Who's watching? I need the check-in SARS to check in, and we'll get going. As you can see, I've got the card going. A little bit of a... Let's see. Let me just, like, do some housekeeping. Okay. I think everything's going. Oh, what's up, Wangoni-chan? You're checking in the SARS. As you can see, I figured it out. A little note. I did get the card today, but that's... The funny thing about that is that I ordered it from Elgato itself. Yesterday was supposed to be when Amazon was supposed to deliver it again. After, I was supposed to get it last month. But of course they didn't, and it was just some sort of stupid fucking error on their website that they thought they had inventory when they didn't, I think what might have happened is that Elgato might have released a newer version of the card, and so they stopped stocking it, so I don't fucking know. Anyway, yeah, I got it. Unfortunately, I forgot that, back in my era, back in my day, Yo, what's up, Wong? Thank you for the KTSC update. See, that's the thing. Like, I feel like I can't like shit on something too much because then it's like, oh, there goes Doug again, shitting on that thing, and then like it becomes like, oh, Doug only shits on that thing, and it's like, well, yeah, I did, but that's not all what this stream is about. Let's see, how do I capture video capture? Yeah. Yeah. How do I fucking... Oh. I think this is like overall taking up... Wait, what happened with Arthur Quan Lee? Yeah, I mean, Arthur Quan Lee wasn't really like... Like, let's be real. Like, that shit was gonna fucking fall apart no matter what. Damn it, it feels like... I think my thing... God, how do I pop it out without fucking... Is this okay? Is this gonna do it? This might work, but it won't look as cool as the other one. Whatever. Doing live chat. Hope you don't get a copyright strike. Why would I get a copyright strike if I'm streaming gaming? Doesn't make any sense at all. That's literally what streaming was made for. God. There we go. There we go. Ugh. Everything is fucking annoying me right now. Damn it. Oh, I'm so on tilt. I am so on tilt. Sorry, there's not gonna be, there's no chat gonna be available that you guys can see on the screen. That's fine since most people are on this anyway, but I will have to figure that out next time again. God damn it. Alright, whatever. I'm gonna have to do it like this. I was planning on using the screen to tell, well, I guess like I needed to put myself on the left anyway, right? Should I put myself on the left? Wait, so you were bullying Arthur Quan Lee within the Groiper community? That's actually kind of funny. Actually, I think because like these kinds of games use like, actually every corner is fucking taken, right? You like have to be like over here for me not to block anything. But now I'm blocking how much time I have left. I don't think I'm going to be playing anytime soon, so why don't I just fucking make myself why don't I make myself big? There we go. So I'm gonna leave it actually let me yeah, I guess I could see every now and then if I could check like that. All right. Sorry, this is the most chaotic stream ever. How do I delete that one? God damn it. Yes. Okay. All right. That was chaotic. I had to do some stuff to fix all this shit. I think overall, I might need a better computer. I might be pushing my Mac Mini to the limit. I thought it was strong enough. I mean, I got my Mac Mini last year, and shit, I'm listening to this fucking. Let's turn this fucking music off. There we go. That was the PlayStation, you know, the fucking PlayStation noise. It was fucking annoying me. What the fuck is this thing? The fuck is that? Oh, this thing. Wait, that's video capture device? Wait, how come? What the fuck is this? There we go. Jesus, what is going on here? All right, everyone can hear me, right? Sorry about that, guys. Everyone can hear me, right? Okay, so I have a lot of time left on this. Oh, I guess I could play at the 49-minute mark. But, yeah. That might not happen for a while. Anyway, as you can see, I got it all set it up. I can play, but I forgot that you need to download all that shit beforehand, so sorry about that. I'm not going to be able to play for another 45 minutes, I guess. Probably 9 o'clock at the earliest. But that's fine, because we got a lot to talk about anyway. This was kind of like a test run, because I'm only going to be playing Death Stranding 2 for these next two streams. Maybe just like next stream, if this doesn't even fucking work out. But, wait. Whatchamacallit. But, yeah, everything came in. Long story short, I had to, I think I said this already, but for those of you who just came in, I just got the card in today, and that was because I ordered direct. Fucking Amazon, they put me in one of those fucking, loops. I don't know if you've ever bought a product where they don't quite like get you the fucking product you need. And they say that it's available, but it's actually not. That's actually happened to me. Not, it's happened to me before. It's not too common, but it does happen. And it's just kind of like they string you along as if they're going to send you it. And it's just kind of like, that's the thing. If Amazon is taking more than a week to get you your shit's never coming. That's just, you should just cancel that order and find another place to order it, or check the availability, because that shit's not coming. So that's the general rule of thumb, I think, for me and Amazon. So I wanted to just, do this trial run, because I wanted to get ready for Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta Snake Eater, which is I think actually pretty relevant. I mean, both these games are kind of relevant. I mean, Kojima is a Westoid or Westaboo, as Holy Moly says. That's true. I'm not going to deny it. He just has, even the main character, right? He's supposed to be half Japanese, but does anyone think he's Happa or anything like that? No, they just think he's a white dude, right? So even in his own fucking game, he doesn't even put, he doesn't put any Japanese people in his own fucking games. That's how much of like a fucking, like, yes, I like his content, whatever, but it's just kind of like, bro, you're so fucking cucked. Like in Death Stranding, right? There is no, I don't know how many Asian men there are in the world, but if there's an apocalyptic world, whatever, I think there's like at least gonna be a few Asians left on the planet. We already make up half the world's population, but apparently in Kojima's world, in Kojima's post-apocalyptic world, we don't exist. We were probably just killed by the nukes, because nuke us once, nuke us twice, right? You can't fool me again. What up, Nico P? Everyone needs to check in SAR when they can. And I guess, Yosep Huang, I guess I'll address that for now. As you can see, I guess it's Michael Kim is apparently turning KTSC into the Michael Kim experience, which is kind of funny. I kind of actually texted Ed about it. I feel like, can you believe this shit? That's all I want to say about that. I was saying earlier, look, I don't want to talk too much shit about something. I feel like it's like if you give too much attention to something, that means you care about it a little bit too much. And I actually don't actually care about KTSC. Clearly, right? I did shit to get kicked off twice. So clearly I don't care about KTSC. But I even give less of a fuck how they're doing now, right? Because I might it might make me chuckle a little bit about how fucking ridiculous it is, and how stupid but it's just kind of like, what it is? It's basically like if the weatherman told me it's going to rain tomorrow, and then it rained tomorrow. And it's just kind of like, well, yeah, I already knew it was going to rain tomorrow. The weatherman told me it was going to rain tomorrow. So it's just kind of like, I already knew it's going to be terrible and stupid and fucking retarded trash. So, yes, it is a funny development, Yosef. But, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Anyway, let's check on the... What the error? Can't install. What the fuck? Oh my god. What is happening? Okay, so all right, whatever. Okay, so that's going on. But yeah, some of you may not know that I did stream 5 years ago. If you, I don't know if Twitch still has my streams or whatever, but I tried to stream Final Fantasy Remake. And I'll probably stream the third one once I get that one, once they come out with it. Now that I have a regular stream, I could just stream shit on. But yeah, wait, is that a common thing, Wang Oni-chan? Like that PS5, like I've never seen that before. Like where it just craps out, the fucking download just craps out on me. It's fucking annoying. Yeah. Wait, so then Wang Oni-chan, so what's going on with what is going on with Arthur Kwan Lee then? Like what's his newest thing? Like if not the Groypers, who does he think he can go to now? It's like just like became like who the fuck is a Nazi Asian American that's going to be like, "Oh yeah, we fuck with you now." Yeah, you just said fuck all Chinese people, but yeah, like it's so stupid. That's the fucking thing. It's so retarded. Like I don't know. I know there are some of my, mutual Korean people who kind of fuck with Arthur Kwan Lee. And I'm just kind of like, guys, what do you see? This is an obvious fucking grifter. Like it's an obvious fucking idiots too. And it's just like, what was your plan? Like to gather with all the Korean and all the Korean and Japanese people who are actual like German Nazis? Well, guess what? It's going to be a very lonely place because even the Japanese, they're not really like Nazis. They're more just, pro-Japan Nazis. They're not really like, yeah, Hitler was amazing. It's just kind of like, what was your plan if, that it didn't work out with the Groypers? You kind of like went all in, and it's just kind of like there's no real path to anything else. Yeah, I mean that's just kind of like basically just straight up Nietzsche, just like stupid fucking bullshit. And while Nietzsche it does relate to Hitler or whatever, most Groypers don't care about that fucking bullshit. Most Groypers don't care about that, you know, fucking like live dangerously or whatever. Like the Nietzsche fucking, that sounds like liberal arts mumbo jumbo. Like to them it probably sounds like HR bullshit that they heard from like white women all the time, like, oh, make art. And it's just like, do you think you were actually gonna fucking relate to these Groypers by saying that fucking bullshit? Because that's the thing, because that's the entire idea. Because the entire idea is that he ultimately just wanted to, he, like Hitler, just ultimately wanted to be recognized for his art, like Hitler was not. He tried to, in Vienna, Hitler tried to, be an artist. And that's basically what Arthur Kwan Lee was trying to do. And then he was just mediocre. Nobody really liked his art. So then, he kind of like decided, hey, I'm going to be fucking all this Nazi shit. And then, get kicked out. But then use being kicked out as a touch point to be like, hey guys, I'm a Nazi. Look how edgy and crazy I am. So people, getting more attention to his art, right? So like when he found the Groypers, it was like, oh, here are people who I can maybe like get in big with, and eventually once I get enough clout, they're gonna even want my art. They're gonna buy my art because they're gonna be inspired by what I have to say, and I'm with them. I'm with the Hitler and blah blah blah. And then after a while, he discovered that nobody gave a shit about his art because it's pretty shitty, and he got frustrated because Groypers were probably fucking like Wang Nichan was fucking being like, you're a fucking fraud, which he was obviously, and after not getting people to buy his shit and being fucking shat on all the time, he was like, oh well, this isn't working out. I'm gonna go somewhere else or whatever, to more serious people, blah blah blah, whatever. right? That's probably like how it went, and now it's just kind of like the realization of like, oh, there's just no real other place to go, and so he's probably gonna just like fucking come back to the Groypers, fucking tail tucked between his legs and fucking, be even more of a fucking cuck. But yeah. Yeah, I assume that the Sony is going to keep coming out with new PlayStations, David. Thank you for the update. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like in PS5, like this is also the first time. Well, not the first time. I do remember downloading fucking games, but it's just like when I was growing up, when I was a teenager with video games, you just put the cartridge in the fucking thing and it just loaded automatically. That was the whole thing with N64, no load times, right? And then with the PlayStation, you're like, okay, it's there are some load times, but at least it's it's fucking whatever. And then they sped up the load time, so. But now it's just kind of like, wait a second, I gotta fucking download the entire fucking game. What the fuck did I buy this disc for? Why don't I just get everything? Then I figured out, it wasn't downloading at first because I didn't have enough hard drive space. So I was like, oh, if I want to have more than 5 games on my PS5, I gotta delete a game to like put a new game on. What the fuck is this bullshit? Like, why aren't they just playing from the discs themselves? Isn't that how it's designed? I don't understand. I guess in the future it'll just be wireless. I think is PS6 gonna have a disc? I would say, because that's the other thing too. Like, why wouldn't they put most of the information on the disc? If it is, I have to download something like for the longest time. Why wouldn't they put the fucking disc in the thing, right? So then, because a Blu-ray disc, I think that's I think a Blu-ray only has like 7 to 15 gigabytes. So I guess they have to do it like this. A lot of games than before now actually put data from the internet, whether that's because of data is incomplete or needs updates. Man, I mean, why even have console games? Like, why isn't everything just fucking computer then? Because it seems like that's the fucking direction it's gonna go in, right? If everything is just fucking off the internet. Yeah. Oh well. It's not like I game that often, but I guess this is the fucking 41. This is the fucking boomer millennial moomer. Like, back in my day, there were no load times when I wanted to play my video game. You just turned it on, turned on the TV, put in the coaxial cable, and there you go. You turn it to channel 3 on the TV. You turn it to channel 3, channel 4, and you just plug in the fucking video games. You take out your SNES controllers, and you fucking, do it. That's me, I guess, right now. I've turned into, man yelling at cloud. Man yelling at cloud, that's me. Oh, yeah. So, I guess I also promised Dead to Rights review. Actually, I posted a photo of me going to it on Twitter, and I didn't expect it to go. I mean, it didn't go like viral, but a lot of people watched. A lot of people liked it. It got like 400 likes or 500 likes. It's like, and I think like a lot of Chinese people followed me after that. So yeah, just goes to show that the tides are turning, where Chinese people and Asian people are kind of like being like, you know what? Fuck all this bullshit. fuck all this, anti-Asian, anti-Chinese bullshit. We need some pro fucking Chinese, like pro fucking fuck the Japs content, That's what we fucking need. And you can kind of see it from the fucking box office, right? I think that movie that we failed to screen the other day, that made, I think it made $500 million. Maybe even more. And then this newest one, I think, has already made $400 million in China alone. And so the thing about these big budget movies in China too, like we're used to thinking, oh, they're like $200 million, $250 million movies, right? But then in China, because everything is so much cheaper, land is cheaper, and therefore, rent is cheaper, and therefore everything else is basically cheaper. Locations and everything you want to shoot in, and like all the fucking materials and labor, for, of course, as well. Like all these film crews, you don't have to pay them as much because the cost of living is a lot lower in China. So then, they're fucking making, this is like, to me, the beginning of the Chinese takeover of culture too. Like how they say, oh, Chinese people, they're not even creative. They, like what all, it's like, no, China's coming for your fucking entertainment dollars too. Like this is like, because Nizza 2 is being re-released as well, by A24, probably for the holiday season to capture all those like kids, right? Like all those kids, because it's kind of like a family-oriented story that they could fucking make gangbusters off, like, it's probably going to be dubbed, right? But then, yeah, they're going to fucking make gangbusters if they just release that movie during during the fucking holiday season. And so, China's basically, it's just like, it's already to the point where white people can't even fathom that China is already past them technologically. Like, can you imagine, like, them trying to fathom that China is ahead of them, like, in terms of culture, in terms of, like, stories that actually move people? Like, that's crazy. What did you say? No, dude. Blu-rays can go up to 100 gigabytes. Oh, shit. Can they? So why wouldn't they put the whole fucking game or most of the game on the Blu-ray, right? Then Wang, and then have you fucking download it from the Blu-ray. That's probably a faster read write speed. I'm pretty sure than fucking any sort of unless you're like, literally directed to like some sort of 10.1 Ethernet, hard line gigabit whatever. It just feels like a stupid proposition. Why wouldn't they just... All right, Windows 11 is terrible, I guess, but then why wouldn't they just... I don't know. It just feels like everything is just stupid. Switch 2 keys. Oh, I'm not even gonna fucking get Switch 1, so... Peacemaker? What is Peacemaker? Oh, that's a DC thing? Who cares? I don't game often. Yeah. This is like I'm getting this and Metal Gear Delta. That's the only 2 games I'm getting this year. Last year I got Final Fantasy Rebirth. That was the only game. And then before that, for 3 years, I didn't get any game. I only got a game in Final Fantasy Remake. So 2020, 1 game. Oh, fuck. 2020, my PS5 is 2020, 1 game, 2024, 2 games, and then 2025, 2 games. So 4 games total for my PS5. Season 2 of Peacemaker. I don't even fucking know what that is. Problem is how much data modern games have. It just can't load the game. Oh. Some should make a new standard of physical media that will never degrade. It needs to copy the data to the console hard drive, DVDs. I mean, I don't think it's possible. Like, everything degrades. They're just gonna have to find... Yeah. I mean, for example, the most packed data in the world is our DNA, right? The Gattaca, whatever, the four bases. That's like actually, you know, yeah, twice as powerful as, or is it four times as powerful because it's squared? Anyway, it's more powerful than binary system, and it's very well packed. Anyway, so yeah, Dead to Rights. I saw it last night in Monterey Park. I went with my friend who's a screenwriter. He doesn't watch Chinese. He's Hong Kong. He's from Hong Kong. Well, not directly from. He's from Canada, but he is Hong Kongese, I guess. So we went to see the movie, and it's interesting because I don't want to give too much away, but like the way in which they find the story to tell within Nanqing is very smart. If you know enough about the history of the event, you'll probably guess what they used. Um, but yeah, I thought it was pretty smart. Um, there's this Japanese character who's like kind of like the antagonist of the film. And I did a little research. Apparently, he's actually I think he graduated from the University of Tokyo, so he's probably very smart. And so I was like, wait, why is he playing these characters? Like, because my first guess was like, oh, all the Japanese actors, they're probably Chinese and they're like, speaking. You know how like, how you have fucking British actors, speaking in an American accent, LARPing as, American or whatever. And I was like, it's the same fucking shit, right? Like, it's probably some Chinese person who's really good at Japanese, or some like, Chinese person who lived in Japan who came back to China to kind of like play this part. But it's actually a Japanese person who lived in Tokyo, graduated, and then moved. I did a little research on him. Apparently, he moved to China, I think, and does like movies for China. So he's like the token. I guess he's like the token Jap that they used to like to be like, fuck you. I mean, it's funny because like you joke about that, right? But then I actually think he's doing it probably for like, because he's so well educated, probably like he probably had a lot of other opportunities to do a lot of other things. But I think he probably actually believes in, being kind of like, yeah, we need to talk about this history that, is there are, obviously, I'm not going to say that all Japanese people don't know what happened. There are people who search for the truth and figure out that, their country is kind of bullshit. Like Hideo Kojima, I'm sure, is one of them. It just doesn't go all the way and go pro-communism or anything like that. But you can kind of tell a little bit here and there. Some Japanese people being like, you know what? I don't want to be like full on like fuck Japan, but yeah, we kind of did some stuff, guys. So yeah, I mean, because like I think about the way Asian people are portrayed in American movies, and some of the fucking minstrels, Asian obviously, who like make us look bad, right? And I'm thinking, I don't think it's like that at all, where like he's just like a buffoon that doesn't realize what he's being used for. I think he's probably cognizant of it, whereas Asians in America who are used for American propaganda or movies or whatever, they're just fucking retarded. They have no shame. They're just like fucking, yeah. Well, you probably heard what I think about that. Doug, how long did it take you until Chinese language stuff didn't sound, no offense to Chinese people out there, but annoying? I mean, I think you're more talking about Cantonese. Cantonese is actually the Hong Kong people, which is funny because they were more Western friendly. So for the longest time, you probably thought the annoying people are more Western friendly, which is kind of hilarious. Mandarin is more kind of like swishy sounding. It's more flowy. It's like French. I feel like, yeah, I feel like Mandarin is more like French, and Cantonese is more like Italian or German. If you want to, use like Western languages as like comparison. But I will say it took me a little bit of time to kind of get used to the subtitles. They were kind of small and towards the bottom, but I got used to it after like 5 minutes. It was fine. Um, it was also interesting because, like, yeah, like they also had there were three languages in the film, obviously Mandarin and Japanese, also some English as well. There was, there were people playing British or American diplomats in the Nanjing safety zone, as well as like some nurse as well. I think in the Nanjing safety zone, it's like these white people. I think it was like there were these scenes where like the Japanese soldiers would come to the Nanjing safety zone or these hospitals and like slap the white woman in the face, and I was like, yeah, that was that was definitely made for Western audiences to like see, like, yeah, see, the Japs slapped you too. It wasn't just they didn't just kill us. They just fucking totally slapped you in the fucking face. No, they didn't put actually John Rabe in there. I think they probably decided that would be too distracting of a point, because that's like kind of like its own sort of story on its own. And I do think that they wanted this to be solely like pure, very sympathetic, obviously, to Western audiences. Because that's kind of like when you watch the movie, you'll see what I mean. There's a kind of like this meta aspect to it where it's like, look at what all these people did to get the news out of this horrible event, and it's kind of like they're also making that movie to remind people of this horrible event that everyone definitely forget about. Because it's always like when people talk about the Holocaust, right? It's always like never forget, like never forget the Holocaust, right? Whatever. But it's like, yeah, you guys already forgot this thing. And it was a lot more horrific, let me tell you. No, what's the anti-Japanism movement? Did I start it? Because I feel like if ever there was a movement of anti-Japanism, I feel like I would have been one of the progenitors or the theoreticians. Um, um, let's see. But yeah, otherwise, the performance, like as a movie itself, I haven't watched Schindler's List, obviously, but I can probably guess based on Spielberg's earlier work and, fucking bullshit Zionism all over. That's just going to be annoying and stupid and fucking bullshit. But this, I felt like, oh my God, like, that's the other thing too. As an artist, as a filmmaker, I was like, oh shit, China has made it. China knows what it's doing now. 10 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, what's going on here, guys? Obviously, they're not at the perfection level yet, and that's something Ivan as well said. Thanks for outing him, David. But there are some little adjustments they can make to make it, even more impactful. And that'll come with practice, I'm sure. The Chinese kind of film like scene is sort of like in its, I wouldn't say nascent stages, but like kind of like its adolescent maybe, or like adolescent teenager stages where it's getting there, but it's not, there's a little, but compared to American film today, it's like fucking like this. I would be like, this should win an Oscar or whatever, because like There's nothing that in American cinema, in my opinion, right now that's like that fucking like trans musical. Wasn't that like Oscar nominated last year? That's fucking slop. That's like Oscars have just become like bourgeois masturbatory fucking decadent nonsense. Um but yeah, I think everyone, if you have a chance, if you're in LA, it's still playing, I think. Actually, I don't know if it's going to be playing after today. Might be leaving, but check theaters. It was playing. Yeah, exactly. There was a trans musical that was nominated for the Oscar. But yeah, if you can, I think it's in New York City as well. Definitely try to watch it in theaters. I think what else could I say about it? I mean, I'm not familiar with Chinese actors or anything like that, but like I was like, yeah, like that was the thing. Like, you have the impression that like Chinese people are soulless, blah blah, blah whatever. I'm just kind of like, when you watch this movie, you're just kind of like, what are you talking about? Like, and that's why I think it's just effective propaganda for China to make this stuff, because it's really about humanizing Asian people, being like, hey, yeah, we went through some terrible fucking shit, and it's time you all realized, that cutesy Japan you guys all fucking, love the anime of, you might want to take a second look at what they've done. It was funny because I have these fucking retarded, Jap-loving Taiwanese retards in my on my post, being like, "Oh, that's Xi Jinping, not, or that's anti-Japanese propaganda." I'm like, "Fuck you, Jap lover." I don't think they realize like who they're talking to. I'm just like fucking stomping on their. See, these fucking retards are like these fob fuckers who think that like I'm like a Westerner who's gonna fall for their fucking nonsense. And I'm like, no, I'm an Asian American who knows that you're fucking full of shit, you dumb fucks. Learn how to speak English, you fucking piece of shit. Fucking fobs. This is where I'm like, you fucking fobs. You fucking jeet fobs. That's what they are. Fob jeets. Jeet is not just relegated to India and Indian people. Jeet is a term for anyone who's not, part of the team, part of the white team, who's trying so hard to be part of the white team. That's a fucking Jeet. And so the biggest Jeet countries are obviously India and the Philippines, right? But they're also Taiwan and Japan. Those are Jeet countries. I mean, there's Jeets in South Korea as well. It's fucking all on the outer Pacific Rim is like Jeet nation. Lots of Jeets in Indonesia as well. Lots of fucking Jeets in Singapore. Jeets is just a state of fucking mind of cuckery to the white man. That's what a Jeet is. And so, hold on. I think this is... Why isn't this fucking tracking me? There we go. So when I say Jeet, I'm not being racist. I'm being like declarative of like, or I'm not solely being racist against Indians, rather. I'm being racist against non-white races who think they're white. Like white like me. All the fucking pro-Israel accounts that are sucking Israel's dick, that are obviously fucking Jeets. Like, that's a fucking Jeet. So, like, when people say, oh, dog, you're being racist and offensive by saying Jeet, I'm like, if the shoe don't fit, if you're an Indian person who's not a Jeet, why wear it, right? I'm not saying Jeet, you're an Indian, therefore, you're an Indian, therefore you're a Jeet. No, I'm saying you're a Jeet, and therefore you are a cuck. Um, and I have Indian followers too who understand what I'm saying. They're like, yeah, those are fucking Jeets. Like they're fucking up our country. Like I have this one Indian mutual tells me all the time, like, man, I wish we had a Mao Zedong. Like, fuck. Like, how do we de-Jeetify our masses? And I'm like, bro, to be honest, like, I don't know. I feel I actually kind of feel bad for non-Jeet Indians because it's like, bro, I don't know. Like already I'm like, America's got a long way to go to become communist, but India, I'm like, holy shit, this is gonna be tough, bro. I don't know. I honestly don't. Um, yeah, I guess not. But that's the thing. Whenever I think most of the electorate or the Brahmin electorate or whatever, they like fucking Modi. That's how like fascism is so easily maintained. They literally have a caste system that they use to this day that the British fucking intensified during the British Raj. And that's why they still, have Hinduism as such a fucking strong influence when it should have been eradicated after independence. Hinduism is like, again, an elite ideology. Like, literally. India and Israel, they are obsolete. The forms of their ideologies have expired. And that's why they're trying to... That's why they're causing all this fucking chaos and destruction, because they're trying to round peg, square hole their shit. Like, they're like, oh, fuck these Palestinians. They shouldn't be here. Like, they shouldn't be in our land. Let's try to kill them any way we can. Square peg, round hole. That's what this fucking Zionism is. Like India, it's just like, yeah, let's compete with China with this caste system where, 5 people own like 90% of our country. And, that's going to make everything more efficient and productive forces and, incentivize everyone to beat China engineering. It's like, what are you talking about? You fucking idiots. You fucking Jeetards. Like, we're trying to help you, but you are too stupid to realize it's not just about being a Jeet. It's about fucking productive forces, organization. Man. But anyway, I feel like I got off track. I was trying to review Dead to Rights. Well, how much do you guys know about that movie anyway, Dead to Rights? I actually, on the way home, you know what? If you guys want to see my synopsis, I actually wrote the synopsis to the wiki page when I got home because it had such a short synopsis. It had like a 1 paragraph synopsis. So I wrote this. You guys want to check that out? You don't really miss much. Me hating on Jeets. Yeah, Jeets is like short for Pajit, which is kind of like a... Like, I see Pajit in the same vein as Gusano. Pajit and Gusano are like kind of like similar terms to me. Like Gusano, for those of you who don't know, is a term that Cuban people said about the nationalists who fled Cuba and hated fucking Castro, right? Those were the Gusanos who were like anti-communists or whatever. Same fucking thing. That's the Pajit in India. No, I know. Holy cow. What I missed. It said Jeets? Are you using a DJI gimbal? Gimbal for what? For my webcam? I'm using an OBSBot, OBSBOT. It's a Chinese webcam. It's like $150. Taiwan isn't a country though. Yes, it's not. Taiwan is, yeah. Well, the thing is, at that point, Taiwan was mostly the indigenous people, right? They didn't really have too much defenses in 1894, so they really couldn't couldn't stop the Japs, even if they wanted to. But yes, the fucking retarded Taiwanese Han KMT people who came after that loved the Japs because they're fucking retarded. But yeah. I'm learning so many racist slangs for the stream. It's not really racism. It's more like anti-racism if you think about it. It's like, hey Jeet, hey Gusano, like fucking grow some balls and stop like sucking up to the white man. It's like, if you think about it, Jeet and Gusano are actually like anti-racism. It's like, grow some fucking balls. You know? Taiwanese people are, yeah, exactly. The Taiwanese people in my fucking comments offended at the Dead to Rights movie. They're fucking so cucked. Like, I'm sorry, but yeah, like, I know they say all the time, like, oh yeah, Taiwanese people, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, this is fucking Reddit Island. This is fucking a country of cucks. What is the Asian version of Jeet? That's Taiwan. That's the entire country of Taiwan. Or the entire province of Taiwan. Even the ones that call themselves Marxist-Leninists, even the Marxist-Leninist rapper or whatever, they're all fucking cucks. Like, he's like a fucking cuck to the white men of communism. Because, like, clearly, you know, there isn't even like an Asian American or an Asian person that is a communist that Zhang Yu respects or whatever. You know, that's the other thing too. Like, you could tell how cucked his mentality is by the fact of like how much he rides like establishment Marxists' balls. Like, he can't even like imagine a paradigm of not being part of the white Western approved Marxist kind of group. It's just funny because he always talks about like, you know, if you're pro China and you're Westoid and you don't know anything about Chinese history, you shouldn't talk about it because you're probably doing more damage than, you know, if you weren't helping at all. And then on the other time, it's like talking all this shit about me. I know that because like I went after his fucking, you know, ally logo, Daedalus, and I'm like, you're such a fucking hypocrite. It's so fucking disgusting, actually. And that's what Taiwanese people are, or at least Taiwanese people who talk about politics. That's what all of them are. They're just fucking, you know. Yeah. You know, it's I actually the Taiwanese people I fuck with the most don't give a shit about politics or don't talk about it at all. Or yeah. Like, but if they do, they're usually a fucking boba, like especially in LA. Like, this is boba liberal city. And you know why? It's because of the fucking Taiwan, you know, like the Taiwanese Americans had the most money in America. They were the most liberal. They were the most fucking spreading that bullshit all over the country, you know, in publications and whatever. So I don't understand this fucking, like, you know, Taiwanese restoration of like, oh yeah, they were actually on our side the entire time. It's just the government and the whatever and the DPP people that were crazy. Like, no, fuck you. Fucking cucks. Oh man, I get it. I guess Everyone hates on me because they don't think I'm being specific enough when I'm hating on a group of people. Like, yes, I'm not saying fuck all Taiwanese people. Like, obviously I have Taiwanese friends. Obviously, like, you know, blah blah blah. Obviously it's, you know, just like Lot and Moses, right? They're like, hey, if 10 people are in Sodom and Gomorrah are fine, can you save Sodom and Gomorrah? And God's like, yeah, sure. If you could find 10 people. It's like, that's me like too. Hey, sure. If you can find 10 Taiwanese people who aren't insufferable bobo liberals, then yeah, sure. Maybe I'll fucking come around. But until that day comes, you know, I reserve the right to have the opinions that I do based on empirical fucking evidence. You know, everyone likes to talk a big fucking, you know, like, I've gone out there, I've investigated. You know, whenever I've had opinions, not because like, oh, I'm just like saying shit that I pulled out of my ass. I've observed. Okay, I've observed. I've been in fucking every single city in America where there's Asian Americans. I know how every fucking Asian American diaspora operates in this fucking country. Like, don't fucking bullshit me about that fucking bullshit. I mean, I think there are more quote-unquote base Chinese now, but prior to 2019, they were all fucking cucks. Let's be fucking honest. Let's be fucking real here. Before 2019, even before 2022, like 99% were fucking cucks to the American Empire. And you know, it's not like I'm saying South Korea is any different. You know, that's a thing too. Like they say, oh, you're attacking Taiwan. No, fucking South Korea is the same fucking shit. I'll say that all day, every day. You know? Why the fuck is this not fucking... Ugh, God. Ugh, no. Why is this not tracking me? Getting technical difficulties everywhere today. Ugh, that doesn't work either. Alright, whatever. But yeah, that's the I don't know if you guys seen my wiki page. That's the thing. Here, I know how to do this. There we go. Whatever. I'll just have to do. Sorry. Is it D-Wallace? I'm like, I'm not really seeing that. Nah, this is fine. It's just today. It's been fucking whatever. Jackie Chan is based, killed it in the new Karate Kid. Honestly, I'm just kind of like, do I want to watch that? I don't know. What the? Oh my God. Are you fucking... Oh my God. I'm so fucking pissed right now. Alright. Clearly, this isn't happening today. Sorry about that. Well, holy moly, a lot of those people are probably like CIA funded. But yeah, I am skeptical about this anti-West movement. I do know that there is this you know, I've been following some, what the, okay, something is happening. I feel like, not that I think I'm important enough, but is the CIA hacking my stream, hacking my computer, just fucking with my... Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is going on with my camera. I don't know. CIA is fucking with me, I guess. Chinaman, lol. Yeah, let me see it again. 99 hours left? What the fuck is this? This is fucking annoying. Ugh, God. Oh, that's annoying. That is very annoying. All right, whatever. Whatever the fuck ever. I guess that's true. Maybe, maybe I need to get off the stream eventually, and it'll download properly. So yeah, that we'll let that sit. I don't think we're gonna play today. It's already been an hour. Sorry about that, guys. Next time though, we'll start Death Stranding 2 for one episode, and then we're going on to Metal Gear Solid, Snake Eater. That'll be that. But yeah, everyone. Man, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Dead to Rights. I don't know what else to say though without. I don't know. It was so good. Like you guys should watch it for sure. Like, cause I think the other thing too, my friend, Ivan. I haven't gone to movies. We usually went to like a movie every other month almost when I was more kind of like in the business and thinking about like what's hot in Hollywood, and we're doing a lot of analysis about Hollywood before and after movies, and I think he kind of like probably missed that. But he also started to stop watching movies as well, just because there's like in the past, in the 2020s, like movies have just been terrible. Like, let's just be fucking honest. And so me even wanting to go to a theater, he was like, "Oh yeah, like let's do that," because he's not that into Chinese movies himself, but it's just kind of like, "Hey, like let's see a movie or let's see a theater." And part of the reason I liked that experience, what the fuck is going on? Part of the reason I like that experience is, yeah, it's just kind of like being back in a movie theater and like feeling what a good movie actually feels like. Because I think part of the reason everyone blames like technology and all that stuff of like ruining the movie and ruining the movie star, movie business. And yes, obviously I've talked about that a lot. Myself, I've talked about the influence of the internet and all this streaming stuff and all this video games and how that's detracting from the young people. But for me, like, for a boomer like me, for a millennial boomer like me, who still kind of like remembers the cool theater experience of like, and there were some like Taiwanese people or Chinese people probably, because it is the 66, so I'm assuming there's some Chinese and some Taiwanese people that also came to the movie, and it wasn't like it was packed or anything. It was like the third week that I was there, but there was like people who came during a Friday night, or was it Monday night? Yeah, was it Monday night? No, Wednesday night. So Wednesday night, it's not like it's packed, but people were coming. People were showing up on the third week of a Wednesday showing, and like it was a good experience, and it was like this really cute Chinese girl there. I was like, oh man, I'm a patriot. I'm a patriot. But yeah, I think I really liked it because it was just like a really solid movie, and I don't think I've had that experience in quite some time in a theater. I'm trying to think of the last time when I had like a good art film drama experience. And it might actually be like Parasite, I'm trying to think. Was it Parasite? Maybe. I did like Everything All Everywhere at Once. I know a lot of people shit on it for being a little bit too liberal. And I kind of agree with that in some regards. And there is a little WMF mind virus stuff going on there too. So I'm not going to like say I loved it, but it was pretty good. But I would say that the last time I was like Dead to Rights type experience, fuck. See, that's the thing. If I could detect my hand, how come I can't detect where my fucking face is? Like, fucking thank you. Finally, it's fucking working. No, I should have, D. Wallace. I should have. Definitely should have been like, Ni hao ma. Ni hao ma. Bao bei. Western movies peaked in the 2000s and got worse ever since. Yeah, I agree. I would say, like, it's funny because even 5 years ago or so, 5, 6 years. No, she wasn't. She was with a group of Chinese guys or people, not just guys, but so the approach was a little difficult in that regard. That's for sure. Needed a yeah. Um, Going to the theater. Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like this theater actually was reasonably priced. Tickets were $15, which isn't terrible. But yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Like that's the other thing too. When they see the $400 million box office or $300 million box office of China, that's like 3x the receipts for a American movie of the same time because like their movie prices are a lot cheaper in China. Because they want people to be able to afford watching movies. What theater did you go to SGV? I think it was the Monterey Park one. I think it was Regal. I'm not 100% sure. AMC. Oh, wait. I think it was AMC. I think it was an AMC in San Gabriel Valley in Monterey Park. Not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that, but that's where I think it was. Yeah. I mean, what I did like was though that they did front load the violence in Dead to Rights. They That's the thing about Dead to Rights. I'm like, people are like, oh, this is anti-Japanese propaganda. It's like, oh, terrible, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, they actually went soft on the Japanese here on the atrocities. Like, yes, they showed some crazy shit, but they didn't show the bayoneting of the baby. There is a scene in it that's kind of like that, but bayoneting a baby is pretty fucking brutal, and they didn't show that. They didn't show the forcing mothers to or fathers to rape their daughters or sons to rape their mothers. Like they didn't show that stuff, okay, or the forced, a lot of other shit they didn't show. So in my opinion, Japanese kind of got off a little easy here in terms of the atrocity that were. But I did like that they kind of showed most of that in the beginning, so that it's not about that. You'll see what I mean when you watch the movie, but it's not really about the atrocities per se. But obviously they're a significant backdrop to the movie. But it is really this kind of like almost like this very small contained drama where it's like, how the fuck do we get out of this city? Right? That's the main thing. Like, how do we get out of here? Like, we're surrounded everywhere. There's no help coming. There is a scene in the beginning that I liked where they show that the KMT were actually like shooting the KMT leadership were actually shooting at people who were trying to escape Nanjing, basically saying like, oh, you need to fight the Japanese for us to give us time to escape. I don't know if many non-Chinese people caught that, or non-Chinese people, who are familiar with Chinese history caught that. But I was like, oh, they're kind of like saying like, look, the KMT fucking left you high and dry to get killed by the Japanese. And then there was another scene where there's a KMT soldier who kind of like, is like, has valor and is honorable. So it's almost like they're subtly saying like, oh, fuck your leaders. See, they fucked you over. They were the ones that fucked the Chinese people over. They're trying to kill you for trying to escape. But no, we appreciate y'all who fought for the KMT, who actually did fight the Japanese. We do appreciate that. So it's just kind of like the movie subtly trying to talk to Taiwanese people here, like the not the leadership, obviously, because they think they're fucking retarded and whatever, because they are. Well, the leadership's just DPP anyway, but like just the KMT leadership who's anti CPC or anti China or all this other stuff. Uh, yeah, ArcLight. They just any indie fucking film. If you're not part of a big corporation, you were just gonna get smoked during the pandemic. That was like the pandemic just massacred movie theaters and theater chains. It's just not profitable anymore. Like that's why the pandemic pretty much killed the middle class in films. And it's really killing the bourgeois class too. Like in recent times because like nobody wants to watch Marvel films anymore. Um but what I mean by the middle class is that like a lot of the cost in movies now is just advertising. So when you make a $50 million film or $100 million film, it's not just about the money you put into it. It's the advertising that you need to make that profitable. But if you make like a $1 million film, right? You don't need as many eyeballs to see it to make your money back. But a $50 million film, you need like a certain threshold to start, breaking even. And because of that, the economics don't really make sense to make a $50 million film, but it does make sense once you're in the 200 whatever film because now everybody knows about it because that's where the Marvel stuff and that's where the DC stuff and that's where the big franchises like Fast and Furious, that's where they live because they already have enough of a brand awareness that they can kind of, not that they're going to scrimp out of advertising, they're going to still spend a lot of money, but they don't have to spend multiples of their budgets on the advertising, whereas like a 50 million, 100 million to 100 million would have to. So, but now that Marvel and even DC, if people aren't really going out to these big blockbuster movies anymore, unless they're Chinese. Yeah, I mean, I should probably do a Hollywood analysis episode at some point. I feel like I already did with the history of it, but maybe like just like the analysis, more of an analysis of current times and how it's going to shake out. I think I kind of have an idea about like Disney and whatever and can kind of make some predictions. But anyway, that's all I'll say about that movie. Just watch it. Trust me. Hopefully the Unit 731 movie will come out soon, so I can review that as well. What else? What else did I like? Yeah, I like that it had that thing about the KMT. There were some moments where I was like, oh, this might have been influenced by Breaking Bad a little bit. You'll see what I mean. There's a scene where all I'll say is that it reminded me of the Gale Bedecker situation, and I was like, oh, I feel like this might have been, this filmmaker might have seen Breaking Bad, and kind of inserted that into it, and so, fuck this fucking, ugh, God. So yeah. I'll watch the Unit 731 when that comes out. I think that was delayed, actually. I think it was supposed to be the big banner said something like Unit 731, August 31, right? Because, I mean, July 31, because that makes sense. 7/31, 2025. That would be a good release date for a film called 7/31, right? And so I think there was some controversy, though, over its release. I don't know if it was because Japan was like, you better not release that or something like that, but why would China care, right? Why would China care about that shit? We'll see. I'm not exactly sure what the release date thing is going on with that, but we'll see. And I'll review that when that comes out. When is the Breaking Bad video coming out? Soon. I will say, give myself to end of month. So I've finished all the thing. I'm writing it right now. I can pull up kind of like a little bit of a draft. Let's see. Screen capture device. I should wait till after the stream to modify anything like that. I feel like it's using all its resources. But yeah, so for example, I'll give you like an excerpt. One of them, like for example, I started by, there's an intro obviously, but I start by kind of like analyzing Vince Gilligan, right? And his background, what he's talking about. So like, let me just read from that a little bit. Here's like a sneak preview, right? So Gilligan is an Irish-American screenwriter who formerly worked on The X-Files, a show about FBI agents investigating unsolved cases based on paranormal phenomena. While not necessarily the point of the show, it's likely that Gilligan had researched the FBI, in order to write accurately about the FBI, and is aware of its roots in anti-leftist communist movements, especially with J. Edgar Hoover. I don't know if you guys know who J. Edgar Hoover is, but he was very anti-communist and anti-leftist. Vince Gilligan was also raised Catholic and is now agnostic, giving us a clue that he may also see himself in the Jimmy McGill character, who is also raised Catholic. There's a quote where Jimmy McGill says something like, "Nuns in Cicero would not approve," or something like that. But yeah. There's subtle nods to Catholicism in the show as well. When one of Tuco's guys says like, "Oh, that's not very Christian," or when the twins are praying to Santa Muerte, who is not approved by the Catholic faith, but is somewhat part of the sectarian Catholics in Mexico, or Hispanic Catholicism. Gilligan is often quoted as saying that Breaking Bad is about turning a character from Mr. Chips to Scarface, essentially transforming a beloved figure of the community into a gangster overlord. I always found this to be odd, since even in the show itself, Hank uses a much more familiar Mr. Rogers to describe Walt. So I had never heard of Mr. Chips before. So I did some research, and Goodbye, Mr. Chips is actually an British-American novella that was made into 2 movie adaptations in 1939 and 1969. Mr. Chips is about a classics teacher at a high school in London. In the 1939 movie adaptation, the British are at war with Germany during the First World War, and Mr. Chips chooses to teach about Julius Caesar fighting Germanic tribes when they are attacked by a German Zeppelin. In the 1969 adaptation, the story takes place during World War II, and his wife is killed by a German V-1 rocket in 1944. It seems odd that Gilligan would reference this obscure story where both film adaptations have to do with Germany and World Wars, and he was not even of age to watch either. The 69, he was born in 67, so he would have been 2 years old when the second one came out. With Scarface, the connections to communism are clear. Scarface's writer, Oliver Stone, is a Vietnam War vet and has directed and written Vietnam War films heavily critical of the United States and its nationalism and imperialism. He also wrote the screenplay to Scarface, which, while on the surface is about a Cuban cocaine drug lord in Miami, is actually a sharp commentary on the similarities between the capitalist establishment and a drug dealer, and how they often actually work together if there's money to be made. Don Eladio and Hector Salamanca actors Stephen Bauer and Mark Margolis are also in the film, who play Manny, Tony's best friend, and a hitman for the cartel, respectively. The story centers around Walt's initial anxiety over his medical bills bankrupting his family. Gilligan, whose father was an insurance claims adjuster, likely is familiar with how a lack of insurance can easily ruin people's lives. He was also a struggling writer when he wrote Breaking Bad, he was working, but out of a job since The X-Files ended. And during the financial crisis, and this was made during the financial crisis, which was referenced multiple times in the show. Which was one of the root causes of World War II and the Great Depression. The recession is where the backdrop of the story begins. Clearly, I have to edit this. I As I'm reading it, I'm like, that is not good English. I need to fix that. But that, yeah, that's kind of like a sneak peek of the Vince Gilligan section of the episode, where I kind of like analyze part by part. The next section will be about the pilot and what symbols and analogies and whatever came out of that. For example, the first opening shot is of the pants flying in the air, right? And the Winnebago fucking flying through when he's driving, because they had just killed, Emilio, and with the gas, with the phosphine gas. And the first scene of Walter White you see is with him with a gas mask on, right? So when you think about Adolf Hitler and what started Mein Kampf, you realize that he too was hit by a mustard gas attack in 1918, which sent him to the hospital. That was the start of Adolf Hitler's journey. The first scene of Walter White is him with that exact style of a gas mask on. I mean, like not like the ones the Germans actually used in World War One, but they had a lot of gas masks during World War One because people were using fucking things like mustard gas, and that's how he kills Emilio, right? That's how he gets out of the situation where Emilio and Crazy 8 are about to kill him, and he uses the phosphine gas to like distract them while he runs out and suffocates them to death, right? Or Emilio, because Crazy 8 lives. But that's the start of Walter White's journey, and that 50, it's very significant. His birthday is his 50th birthday, right? And so Adolf Hitler, I don't know if you guys know, was born on April 20th, 1889. So in 1939, 50 years later, he would have turned 50 as well. And that is when he invades Poland. And also in the pilot is when he talks to Jesse Pinkman, someone who he had an earlier relationship with. Just like Germany had an earlier relationship with Poland itself. But yeah, I never knew it was this deep either. This is stuff I'm fucking like digging up. I feel like I'm like an archaeologist. Like I'm fucking digging up like things that probably were never meant to be found. I feel like it was almost like an inside joke Vince Gilligan was pulling on the rest of us. Like, what if I made a character that was based on Hitler, but made people root for him? Wouldn't that be funny? Like if I could get people to root for Hitler. Also in the pilots, what else have I written? Also in the pilots, when Hank is when he's in the ride along, right there, Walt goes along with Hank in the ride along to see the meth lab. When he goes, when he's driving up to the house, they're like Hank goes, and you know what that song is? That song is Flight of the Valkyries by none other than Richard Wagner. You know who Richard Wagner was? He was Hitler's favorite dude of all fucking time. Hitler went to Wagner's operas every fucking day in Vienna when he was when he was like LARPing as an artist. He would spend all of his money going to fucking Richard Wagner operas. And Richard Wagner was pretty much the progenitor to like Nazi anti-Semitism. Like he was like he was like basically Hitler before Hitler. I mean, like he derived a lot of his thought from Schopenhauer, who was also pretty anti-Semitic himself. But yeah, that's kind of like pretty, like, yes, in the moment it sounds like it's like a very famous song of like going forth and charging or whatever. But what you don't realize, it's from basically the Nazi dude. Valkyries, yes, exactly. The other thing, I think that there's a scene early on when Walter White is discussing what chemistry is, and he says, what is chemistry, and like, what is it the study of? And then somebody says chemicals. Chemicals, no. He says chemistry is the study of matter, but I prefer to see it as the study of change. It is growth, then decay, then transformation. So this can be interpreted one of two ways. It can actually be Hegelian, like the growth, right? The thesis, decay, the antithesis, and then transformation, right? That could be the dialectic, the Hegelian dialectic. Or it could resemble the Nietzschean becoming, right? Of like, oh, he's becoming the will to power, right? Whatever doesn't kill me makes me stronger. Sometimes you need that decay to fucking, transform into like a drug lord. And so even in that, cause like I've always wondered, like, I mean, like, as a literary device, it more kind of like serves to show you what's going to happen to the character, like a foreshadowing thing. But when you really deconstruct that phrase, it's like, oh shit, this is like very German, like philosophical, like embedded in this statement. Um, and yeah, so that was the thing that I found there. And then this wasn't related to the allegory or the whatever. It might be. I have to figure this out. So let me just back up a little bit. The Great Gatsby was a book written by F. Scott Fitzgerald in 1925. Coincidentally, the same year Mein Kampf comes out. But it's about the Great Depression. It's actually another book about the American dream, and it's actually it's somewhat anti-capitalist in my opinion. If you kind of like read between the lines, it's kind of like the existentialism of just like massive wealth, right? The Great Gatsby, and all those themes like that. And it actually, it was a decent hit when Fitzgerald was alive, but I think he died. I think he died during the 1940s. I'm not exactly sure. And then The Great Gatsby became very popularized during World War II. Because like I guess like they would give it out to soldiers or whatever, stuff to read, like when you're on off duty or whatever, entertainment, right? They would give soldiers all these books to read for entertainment. And so The Great Gatsby became very popular during the World War II because people were just like, oh, this is a good story. And so this isn't directly related to the allegory, but maybe like indirectly, because like there's a scene where before Walt passes out in the whatchamacallit, before he passes out at the car wash, he passes out at the car wash, and then the EMT takes him to the hospital or whatever, and then they figure out that he has cancer. That's how he finds out he has cancer. But right before he falls down, like there's this woman in this green dress. It almost looks like it's Gretchen later on that you see. But there's this woman that gets into this nice car. And it's like this very green dress. And she gets into the car. And like, if anyone's read The Great Gatsby, you know that green is a very significant thing in it. It represents the green light that Gatsby is reaching towards, but it's also kind of like, the obvious allegory is that green is the color of money, right? So that's kind of like what Gatsby is striving towards. He thinks that if he has enough money, he can get what he wants, which is Daisy, right? And so in this, it's just kind of like this kind of thing right before he collapses, of like this life or this goal that he could have gotten or whatever. And so that's, I don't know how much I want to talk about that in the actual episode, but that was kind of like a detail that I was like, oh, this could be. That's one I'm a little less certain about. It's a little bit of a stretch, so I don't know if I'm gonna add that one into the episode, but that's kind of like what I saw as well. And then the last thing is that the character is Emilio Koyama is half Japanese. And at first, I thought it was just like a random detail, but I was like thinking like to myself, because in the show itself, Hank and Steve Gomez, they're at the trap house, or they're at the house, right? And they're about to go in, and then he goes like, I'll bet you $20 that's a beaner. And then like, cause like, you know, it's kind of like being racist, right? They're always beaners, right? They're always, you know, whatever. And then like, Gomez is like, with Captain Cook, that's a white boy's name, you know, cause he was, which is funny because he's actually right, because that's Jesse Pinkman's car. So Captain Cook, that's a white boy's name. Like, you're on like $20. And then when they say, what's the name of the guy? Was he of the Mexican persuasion, whatever? And he goes like, suspect's name is Emilio Koyama. And then, you know, Steve's about to grab the money, but then Hank grabs him. He's like, hey, he's half a beaner. You get 10 back. But I thought at first it was just kind of like a joke, like an offhand joke. Like, haha, it's half a beaner. But it's just kind of like, wait, that's like a random thing to just put in there. But when you think about it, you're like, oh, who was the other Axis power in World War II? Japan, right? It wasn't just Germany, right? It was Japan that was, it was like the only, and that's the thing too. There are Asian characters in Better Call Saul, but in Breaking Bad, this is the only Asian character who has a name. So the only Asian character who has a name, and he's not even fully Asian, he's half Mexican, right? I think he looks like full Asian in the show. But he's Japanese. The only Asian in the show is Japanese, right? And so no, it's not all as I'm watching it. The thing is, I've watched this show all the way through around 10 to 12 times now. So these are things no normal person has probably even considered. I've analyzed the entire fucking show. I've probably like memorized entire fucking episodes before, or I could probably do entire fucking episodes if I wanted to, or if I put enough effort. When I watch things, I get obsessed with them, because like I don't watch a lot of stuff, but when I do watch something that I really like, I just fucking watch it over and over again, because everything else is slop compared to that. But yeah, the other thing too is I'm researching methamphetamine itself. So this is the biggest part of the whole fucking allegory. Methamphetamine was first synthesized in Japan. I think in the late 1890s, it was first synthesized and then quickly brought over to Germany. Both countries popularized the drugs to their military because they found that when you're hopped up on meth, you don't care about anything else but just fucking going. So you remember those, you know, when the Blitzkriegs happened, it was partly due to the fact that the Wehrmacht were all hopped up on meth. That the French were like, what the fuck? They're like fighting for like 24, 48 hours straight. Like, how, what the fuck is, we can't like fucking compete with this shit. They're crazy. So when you think about that, the first scene where you see meth being made is by a Japanese Mexican. It's actually historically accurate, right? Because Japanese people synthesized this thing for the first, like a Japanese scientist synthesized this thing for the first time. Second of all, Methamphetamine was heavily used by both the Japanese and the, because that's the thing in Manching too. They didn't show it in the in Dead to Rights movie, but all those crazy, you know why they were able to do all that crazy shit, and why they were so psycho, because like that's the thing. Like even the SS, the Staatsstufen, whatever, I don't know how to say that German word. The German SS, the Nazi SS, they were tasked, the Einsatzgruppen squads, they were tasked with like killing Jews and gypsies and Slavs, right? Like they were just like straight up shooting them, right? But then they got depressed and they were becoming alcoholics and committing suicide. And so that's why they needed death camps, because they were like, well, our soldiers are getting traumatized by killing them, so we need to just kill them without, thinking about it. Just put them in this room and with Zyklon B, right? With the Japanese, they had no qualms. Why? Because they were all hopped up on fucking meth when they were doing their shit. So, like, that's why they were doing the craziest fucking shit, like beheading contests and, that earlier shit I mentioned about, like, whatever, and just, like, raping children left and right. Like, there is a scene in Dead to Rights. They don't show the gruesomeness of that, but there's a scene where that happens. And so, yeah, a lot of that craziness was because of fucking methamphetamine. So yeah, I've watched it around. The reason why initially is because I loved it so much that I was proclaiming the gospel of Breaking Bad to all my friends or family and friends. I made my sister watch it, and then when she watched it, I would watch it along with her. And then that's what happened. Like I would make other people watch it, and I would just like watch it alongside them and be like, "Oh yeah, that was awesome." Because initially, the funny thing about all this, about me comparing Walter White to Hitler, is because for the longest time, I too identified heavily with Walter White. I too kind of was like, yeah, I was this nerd my entire life and, disrespected. And, even though I had all this nerd knowledge and whatever, it's just kind of like, I too kind of developed this Heisenberg personality to kind of take care of things. Like I guess it's more akin to Mr. Robot now that I watch Mr. Robot, like building a Mr. Robot identity to protect myself. But in this case, this was more of like a Heisenberg personality to fucking be a Nazi, I guess. I don't really relate to Hitler per se, but I do somewhat relate to the philosophers he was obsessed with, especially Schopenhauer. I'm just kind of like, I understand, all the bad things that came from Schopen's afterwards, but I do kind of feel like he was like the Eminem of philosophy. He had a shitty mom and he had a terrible like experience growing up. No, I would never be a Groyper, because Groyper means like just being retarded and not following the truth. I I can relate to things. That's a thing too, because like, and that's actually I think part of what Vince Gilligan was trying to do as well. It's like, just because someone is considered evil or whatever doesn't mean that they have no humanity whatsoever, right? And I think this is ultimately something I think Kanye was trying to get at as well. Not that like Kanye isn't more Nazi leaning, obviously, but I think Kanye was also trying to get at the point of like, look, if you're an actual Christian, there should be forgiveness too of like people even after they're gone or whatever. And not only that, it's just kind of like, that's what the Bible says, right? Like, no matter what you do, you are still redeemable if you turn to God. Um, and so again, I'm not I'm not saying I'm gonna be Hitler anytime soon. I guess it's more like I relate to the personality of Hitler, if that makes sense. But obviously, I don't agree with the conclusions he makes because I think like yeah, he was. I think I relate to his emotions, and relate to um kind of, I guess, things in his life that made him like I could see. I guess like what I'm saying is I could see why he had a lot of appeal to the German public, especially the masses. I think like he spoke to a lot of like just like general ennui that Germans were facing at the time about like self identity and nationalist identity. And that's a more complicated discussion because like you really have to know a lot about 19th century Germany to really understand what I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of like the Nazis weren't just like black and white, cartoonishly evil. I think a lot of people, a lot of Westerners, especially liberals, reduce them to just like thugs and stupid idiots. But I think actually that strengthens the Nazis because like the Nazis operated, especially and Japan as well. They both operated with a lot of manipulation and psychological manipulation and perfidy and like propaganda. They weren't straight up like, oh yeah, like even during the Dead to Rights thing. Um, I'm not saying that Hitler is redeemable in like a historical sense or whatever, but I guess like I'm saying that if you are a Christian, right, that's what you believe, right? If Kanye is a Christian and saying that, that's what the religion entails. Um, uh, if they did in fact, became, repented for their sins and accounted for their crimes, right? Like if I That's the thing too. I think most Chinese people, if Japan made the fucking kind of apologies that Germany did to the Jews, I feel like that would go a long way, right? I feel like that would go a long way of the hostility that exists between them. And so, yeah, and this might be the point of what Vince Gilligan was trying to do all along. Like, is there like a is Hitler uniquely evil, or could anyone become Hitler? Even before the Hitler analogy, that's kind of what I got out of Breaking Bad too. I was like, I liked the show because it was like, because most shows are like, oh, that guy's evil, I'm the good guy, and therefore you should root for me because I'm the good guy in this TV show that you're watching. Even like in anti-hero thing, that's kind of like Dexter or The Sopranos. It's kind of like you're still rooting for the or the protagonist. Well, Breaking Bad is kind of like putting that on its head a little bit of like, can you still root for this guy? Like, how long are you going to root for this guy? How long does it take for you to turn on this guy? That's the whole thing. And I think with that, the point of the show really is about like, isn't everyone somewhat a little evil? Doesn't everyone have a little Hitler in them? Isn't everyone a little Hitler? It's like that song Avenue Q, when they're like, I actually really like that song. It's like everyone's a little bit racist. It's like the admission of like, look, everyone. That's the other thing about Christianity too. It's kind of like, look, everyone is a sinner, right? That's the main tenet of the faith. That's the story of when the Pharisees brought Jesus a prostitute, they were like, "Oh, you should stone her, right? So what do you say about that? We should stone her, right?" And then he goes, Jesus apparently goes something like, "All right, whoever of you is without sin, may he cast the first stone." And then the Pharisees, or the Zionists, as I call them now, the Zionist Pharisees, they were like, "Oh, shit. Well, if I do that, then I'm basically saying I'm without sin, but that's sacrilegious because, the Ten Commandments and all that. I guess he got us this time, guys. Let's get out of here, but it's also kind of like the idea that everyone has the capacity for great evil, in my opinion. I think that's a truth. I think given the right circumstances, given the right egoist, like attack on someone's ego and their sense of self, I feel like anyone can become a Hitler or a figure that's as evil and manipulative as Hitler. They might not, obviously, not everyone's going to have the scale of Hitler. Like even Walter White, even the drug lord stuff still doesn't reach the scale of Hitler's evil or whatever. The scale of the evil will probably never be achieved, but the degree or the intensity of the evil, the evilish sentiment will be achievable. And it's achievable all the time. We're fucking seeing it in Gaza, right? We're literally seeing Hitler-like evil in Gaza before our very fucking eyes. So I think Gilligan's almost trying to say, even before the Hitler stuff, I was like, oh, Gilligan is kind of trying to say everyone is, at this end of the day, good and evil, right? Or they have the capacity for both. And that's kind of like, when you talk, there's different characters that have different sort of debates about this. There's a Hank Schrader, who's more Kantian, right? He's more like, oh, they're the bad guys, I'm the good guy, so I have to just catch them. There's this conversation where they're like, alcohol used to be illegal, and now it's not. Meth used to be legal, and now it's not. And so, Walter White Walt asks Hank, like, how do you decide what's appropriate, whatever it is. And Hank is kind of like, oh, that's not up for me to decide. I just take out the cockroaches, right? Or something like that. Yeah, and I think like that's the other comment on Hitler as well. Like, I think liberals love that Hitler exists because they can always be like, at least I'm not Hitler, right? At least I'm not as bad as that guy. I think white liberals love the existence of Hitler because they can always point to him and be like, hey, there's always someone worse than me. When in actuality, they are the fucking Hitlers of society, like as we can see with Gaza right now. Like, for example, 80% of Jews, guess what party they root for or they vote for? They don't vote for the Republican Party. They vote for the fucking Democrats. And guess when the 67 war happened? That was on the Democrats' watch, right? So these fucking white liberals, the reason they love Hitler is because they use him as a fucking reverse Uno card and be like, see, at least we're not Hitler. We're actually we're mostly like the Jewish whites. So we're actually good because if Hitler is the ultimate evil, that means Jews are the ultimate good. Because I feel like that's a little bit of what white liberals kind of try to do too. And then they use their Zionist fucking stooges to fucking, be the I guess the standard for what's morally righteous, right? Because, if they're the opposite, if they're the opposing opposite of Hitler, and we've already established Hitler to be the ultimate evil of all time, Like nothing else is more evil than, despite the fact that Leopold exists, despite that fact that fucking, the Japs were even more evil in the same fucking war. It's Hitler, right? It's about Hitler. Hitler, Hitler, Hitler. That's the fucking, the fucking what is that? Godwin's law, in the 1990s. Everyone's a little, every the joke was that with enough time passing, every political discussion devolves into just as evil as Hitler, or a mention of Hitler or something like that. Because that's the thing about, I think that's the thing that Breaking Bad is trying to say here. Is like, do we have, is this the biggest evil of all time, or don't we all have a little Hitler in us? But when I say don't we have a little Hitler in us, I'm not saying that don't we all have a little anti-Semitism or don't we have a lot of anti-communism. It's more like, don't we all have a little bit of our own subjectivity and ego and feeling like we're being disrespected and we need to take control and power or whatever. Or, like, it's a very universal feeling. It's not like it's not like only Hitler has experienced these things, and that's more of the kind of thing that I'm trying to say about, like, when I read about Hitler or Schopenhauer, Nietzsche, it's not like, oh yeah, I'm totally down with them or whatever. It's more like, oh, I can kind of see why they are the way they are. From a psychological and philosophical standpoint, and from a literary standpoint, you're like, when you know enough about psychology, philosophy, and history, you're kind of like, you can kind of piece together a person's life a little bit more accurately, a little bit more with context and nuance. And I feel like, especially with Hitler, there is no context and nuance in the West. And that's for a reason. They don't want you to have nuance, because once you actually dig into Hitler, you're tempted to dig into every other German stuff that's going on. And when you do that, you're probably digging into Marx and Hegel and Kant. And those are the people that the West wants you not to look into. I know this myself just because, like, I didn't even know who Marx and Hegel were growing up. And I grew up in a very liberal area in New York. And so I'm like, I'm like petty bourgeois, right? I'm part of the PMC academia class, but I didn't even know who Hegel was or Marx. And I didn't really even know who Kant was either. I only somewhat knew about him because I remember my Bible study teacher in high school mentioning him once. And I was like, oh, he must be some Christian philosopher like Aquinas or, whatever. I learned that was not the case. But later on, when I read him, obviously. But I didn't know who any of these people were. And now that I'm, like, doing all this research on Hitler and all these people or whatever, I was like, oh, this is why they don't teach German in America. Or as much as Italian. Like, in my school, it was only French and Spanish, really. And there was an Italian, but you kind of had to do it on your own. There was no German whatsoever. And then, I didn't even know about Goethe or whatever. I don't even know how to fucking say his name, let alone, like, know his name. I didn't know that Faust was such a big deal. Like, Faust is basically on the same level, apparently, as Shakespeare's shit. Or, I think Nietzsche really thought that Julius Caesar and King Lear were Shakespeare's things, but apparently Faust was on the same level. I'm gonna read that too, but yeah, you're as an especially as a Korean American or whatever, my parents are never gonna teach me anything about Germany or whatever, so I had no idea about any of this fucking shit. And so yeah, whenever I heard about Hitler, for example. Wait, Obviously, Vince Gilligan was annoyed by how much designer narcotics cost in California and wanted school teachers to supply. Actually, I'll talk about that XNB. There's actually a note about that. This was on the Twitch stream for those of you on the YouTube that don't know why I said random words. Yeah, I guess like maybe you know why? Because my area was heavily Jewish, so maybe it was like, oh, the Germans gonna trigger the Jews there, and they did talk about the Holocaust a lot in the 1990s. Let me fucking tell you, in school. Oh Jesus, I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, do you guys know what Japanese did? They didn't even know what Korean was, and they were telling me I needed to care about the Holocaust. Like, how fucking ridiculous is that? They don't even know what they were like, are you Chinese or Japanese? And they're like, oh, the Holocaust is so important. But yeah, like, you know, I didn't even really look into Hitler that much when I was in high school or whatever. I was just like, oh yeah, I guess he's a bad dude. Everyone's saying he's a bad dude, and even the Soviets say he's a bad dude. So if both the Soviets and America are saying he's a bad dude, must be a bad dude. Didn't really look into it that often, that heavily. I wasn't really interested in World War II stuff. I guess it's just because like I was like, oh yeah, America saved us from the Japs. That was it, you know. Kind of knew about the. You know what I researched about the World War II? I researched the nukes because I was like, yeah, fuck them. We need to nuke them. We need to nuke them even more. When I was 9 years old, I was obsessed with fusion technology because of because of Hiroshima. What did the Zoomers do? I was like, when I was 9 years old, I was like, oh yeah, nuclear technology. I was pro nuke when I was 9. That was my so even back then I was pretty I did have Japanese friends, I'm not gonna lie, but I didn't really talk to them about my my atomic bomb obsessions. Yeah, that's the only thing I remember. I don't even remember like all the stuff about Normandy, D-Day, whatever. It's only recently I learned, oh, that happened in 1944. when the war was pretty much over. It was like, oh, now we're gonna jump in, guys. Start a Western Front instead of just like fucking around in Africa all this time. Yeah, nobody knows about King Leopold. But yeah, you know, my knowledge of Germany, like all the stuff I know about Germany right now has come in the past year. Like or the past couple years, you know, I've read so much now. I've read biographies on Hitler, Goebbels, Himmler, you know, these massive fucking 700-page biographies, by the way, and 2 volumes for Mr. Adolf. So, I've read all this fucking philosophy, like all this German knowledge I have, like it's recent. I'm not a Hitler fan, for those of you who think I am. I just see the Matrix. Yeah, I would have been a nuclear scientist for Los Alamos. I would have been like, let's go. Let's build more nukes, guys. I was like, oh, you need to fight the Japs. More nukes. Apparently, China built this tsunami nuke device that could create tsunamis that are radioactive. I'm like, oh damn! If that's true, Japan better like watch the fuck out. Japan and England, they better fucking wash themselves. You know. Anyhow, I think I've yapped enough. Sorry it didn't work out. Let me just check to see that it. Yep, just like I figured it was Not working again. Oh, yep. It didn't even fucking... I feel like I have to cancel and restart this shit. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Why is this not fucking... Great. Now I can't even fucking do anything on my PlayStation. Oh. I'm gonna restart this thing. I'm gonna restart it. See if that'll. It was full, but then I deleted like 3-4 games, so I was like, it should be fine, right? I deleted like 200 gigs of shit, 300 gigs of shit. Oh, Andrew, I will send you. You know what? I'll just put the link in the thing. We're all friends here, right? There aren't any lurkers. There aren't any haters that are lurking here. And if there are, I'll probably figure it out pretty quickly. I mean, if you enter the thing, if you enter the Discord and you're sus, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna figure it out. But yeah, nothing happened in the Discord. I'm trying to change that, Wang Oni-chan. I mean, I've had the Discord for years, and that's why nothing happens there, because people in it are probably like, oh yeah, nothing happens in it. But the more I do these streams, the more people are going to be on it. So hopefully the more the Discord... Yeah, I probably need to also participate a little bit more in my own Discord. I think the plan was that... The plan for the Discord in general was that I'd have a new video essay up, and then people would discuss the video essay, and I'd just kind of like jump in, clarify some points or whatever. Obviously, that doesn't really work when the episodes take a long fucking time to make, which I'm trying to also correct. So hopefully, yeah, just everyone get along, please, if you can. We're all Asian dudes trying to not get genocided by Nazi America. So please just try to get along, even if you find some of the other people annoying. I know there's been a little bit of tension lately, but yeah, we're all Hitler at the end of the day. We all got a little Hitler in us, so forgive the Hitlerite in Oh god, I feel like someone's definitely gonna clip this and be like, look, Doug's a Nazi. Doug was a crypto Nazi. The ACP was Nazi all along. I got the proof. Oh man, see, that's the whole thing about, like, that's actually something I think Kanye was doing too. He was just kind of like, why is there a person? Why are there people we can't talk about badly of? Why is there a person we can't praise or whatever? You know, like, even if it's stupid, we should just be able to praise Hitler, right? And I kind of agree with that sentiment. Like, yeah, we have the right to call you stupid and depraved, but you have the right to be stupid and depraved, you know? I think I agree with that sentiment of just, like, total free speech. But, like, you know, obviously the clear and present danger is obviously clear and present danger. So if something's, you know, if you're doing hate speech with a directive, yeah, then that needs to be illegal, right? Because obviously that you're trying to incite violence. But if you're just, like, hating on a group of people, which happens all the fucking time with every other group in America, you know, on Twitter, you know, especially Asian people, let me tell you how much fucking hate Chinese people get, or whatever, or Asian people in general in America. And it's just kind of like, Kanye's like, what was this, the GIF? I'm not going to say what kind of doctor it is. It was a Jewish doctor. Are you Gundam, Andrew? I'm assuming you are. That is a very Asian name. What is UFC Shanghai? Oh, is that happening right now? Okay. I'll end the stream then. Next stream, I will definitely have Death Stranding ready to go. Some game, hopefully. Who knows? Who knows what it's gonna be? Something on video games. Who knows? Maybe it won't even be Death Stranding. Maybe it'll be Death Stranding 1. Just to make sure it fucking works. Actually, I should have done that. Oh, I'm such a fucking idiot. I should have played Death Stranding 1. Wait, what's famous last words? But yeah. Anyway, so I will see you on Sunday. And then next week, I will definitely have the thing available. Okay? All right. So that's it. 2 hours of streaming. That's a lot. All right. I'll see you on Sunday.